see on the substrate, they're mostly encrusting. Yellows and oranges on the screen. And we've been seeing quite a few fish and some different species of fish that we haven't seen. This is the polylepion fish. This is the wrasse that we saw off of Mona and also north of Bajo de Seco. So this area receives pretty high currents, and you can see from the substrate that it's relatively smooth. You do have these features that are broken off, creating relief that a lot of these fish are hiding underneath. This is a siderid. Pseudosideris, I believe. And these urchins lack skin along the spines, so a lot of times you see hydroids, or just earlier on the dive we saw a couple barnacles growing on the spines. And these urchins eat, they could eat black corals or sponges. We saw another siderid urchin the other day eating a black coral. There's the fish again, right under the lasers. It's swimming downwards. Yeah, if we could snap zoom. So this fish, you could see the black marking right close to the caudal fin. The ones that we were seeing north of Mona were lacking this black dot. But this is very pronounced.
I'll turn over to center up on that. This is centered on 285, so that'll move me a little bit to the port, which will be perfect. Give him some leeway.
What is this black right in the middle of the screen? That's right, it's like almost to the center. It's laying on its side, and I don't know if that's a black coral or not. Something else. Oh yeah, it's one of the black corals. Yeah, we did. Thank you. And it looks like there's some more fishing line right there hanging.
Definitely an active fishing area.
Yeah, it's going over the So this is evidence that fishers do visit this area quite often. This is the most fishing line that we've seen in this dive so far in the shallow areas. And you can see the relief of this area, how easily caught the fishing line could get. It's very complex with all these overhangs. So some of these fishers have mentioned that, sometimes their lines get caught in corals or sponges. And you could only imagine at this site, their lines getting caught, given the relief and the amount of stylaster corals along the substrate. There's something in the middle of, like right under the underhang, that's brownish. Both, yeah. Could we just do a snap zoom? Thanks. These are the ones that we were seeing before. I'm not sure if they're anemones or corallimores, but now they kind of look more like they would be anemones. So I'm torn. Not sure what they are. Okay, that's good, Pilot. Thank you. I think we have some nice photos of a couple of these before.
Is that another crab?
This looks a little bit different. Looks like the tentacles are a little bit more swollen, and it has something in its mouth. Looks like. There's.
Should we try
looks
the,
like there's a
fog lights
urchin, or looks like a urchin test hanging from the coral. Yeah. Yeah, this one looks a little bit different from the one that we just previously just seen. Okay. That's okay. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Oh.
Oh.
Actually, this might be a great view. We'll be able to see the other side, the oral side of the sea star. I don't think these are as agile as the as the crabs. So this is rarely seen, the oral surface of a sea star, because you usually see the aboral surface. I believe this is a goniastrid sea star. And what we're seeing is the dot in the middle is the mouth part. And you can see that it is extending its tube feet along those lines. So it's going to try to flip itself over using its tube feet. And these 2 feet are connected through a water vascular system where they bring in seawater and they use the seawater to or retract these tube feet. And these 2 feet are used to help them attach to the surface or bring food items towards their mouth. So this is an unusual sight to see an actual mouth part of a sea star.
Nothing now.
So tomorrow we're going to be close to this region, a little bit more north, in the area of Pichincho. I don't know if this site is technically called Pichincho or the area is called Pichincho, but we'll be west of Desecheo Island. Also an area known to be targeted by the deep sea fishermen.
Okay, I think we could do another. Let me center up a little bit better on 270. 270 or 275, I guess. Well, why don't we go ahead and put it in? It's a little off to my port, but he's getting out there now.
Buenas tardes. Hoy estamos en un sitio, se llama Pichincho, es un sitio oeste de la isla de Desecheo. Ahora estamos a la profundidad de 254 metros. El objetivo de hoy es para caracterizar los hábitats de los peces en aguas profundas, como chillos y meros, cartuchos y chillos de ojos amarillos. Vimos 2 guasas en áreas más profundas, cerca de 350 metros. Cuando estábamos bajando, vimos una escuela de chillos, no sé si son chillos de ojos amarillos o cartuchos. Ah, there's a fish. Random. It's a big eye soldier fish. These have been probably the most common fish on this dive so far. Y mañana vamos a bucear cerca de este área, pero más norte. Y vamos a buscar sitios donde los chíos viven.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Is this Ricardo?
Yes, that fish, the red fish, is very similar. I have not been able to confirm. I will be looking at all the pictures to the Holocentrus ascensinosus, locally called pez gallo. The scales and the body form is very similar. However, there is a dorsal fin that is very hard to see if it's retracted on that fish because I don't think he feels on the stress. But it's very look like that type of fish.
Yeah, we think that it's possibly a big eye soldier fish. We've been seeing them throughout the dives. And they're relatively common in the shallower depths. Do you fish this area a lot, Ricardo? Not sure if
not that far, but I have been in the area. By the way, it is incredible information for the fishermen because the bottom contour clearly explains to some extent, why so many line get stuck there.
Yeah, the relief, we were happily surprised when we reached down by the relief and the high amount of diversity that we're seeing at this site. And I'm not sure if you saw the schools of geos when we were descending.
I missed that. I'm trying to take a look of the video. However, I saw some yellow eye red snappers in the bottom.
Yeah, we saw a couple. Yeah, the silk snappers and also some misty groupers, wasas. So yeah, the site has been really like the diversity of fish. I think is probably one of the highest in the shallower realms that we have visited so far.
By the way, you make a comment about the wasa. It was the same one that we saw before, and I took a picture of the screen before, and they're the same.
Yeah, it had a marking right above the pectoral fin that looked kind of like a scar. So I think it was following us around.
Yeah, when you made a comment, I look at, and you were right. Another thing that is very interesting is that north of here, this is an area that is very active from seismic standpoint. By the way, there was one this morning, about 3 o'clock in the morning. So I see a lot of cracks and a lot of coral and other, breaks, etc. So I don't know if it's a result of the seismic activity or the result of the hurricane that passed through this area a year ago.
You think it's possibly from Hurricane Maria?
There's a possibility. This is a high area, so I have to assume that the Hurricane Maria, there was a strong south movement of water. Plus, this is an area that's very active from the seismic. I went to the U.S. Geological Survey earthquake data, and I look at, and they have been,
275.
several,
The one I'm at right now is
not big
310.
movement, but yes, there have been some several, and there was even one this morning, early. So,
Yeah, I was saying how active, Puerto Rico is with earthquakes. We get them on a regular basis on the island. We feel them.
yes, in the last few weeks, we have few in the West Coast. By the way, the only earthquake big enough to create a tsunami was on the West Coast in 1918.
Yeah, we surveyed actually the possible landslide that caused that tsunami the other day in the Mona Canyon, which was interesting to see. So, and we were surveying if there was any other instability in the wall of the canyon.
Yeah, there is a place that meets just north of Villa. That is probably one of the reasons we were diving there. You look at some of the rocks look like they are fresh breakout.
Yep. Yep. Very true. And
Very interesting.
yeah, this site is very interesting, both topographically and relief, and also the diversity of organisms at this site is very impressive.
And the depression is on the rocks. You mentioned that look like a lunar. Very interesting.
Yeah, very much so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you for calling in. That was Ricardo Lugo. He's a local fisherman who has been collaborating with the expedition. He's from the Boquerón Fishing Association, located on the West Coast. We have been working with a number of fishermen, both on the East Coast and West Coast, and they've helped us greatly through this expedition, giving some waypoints because they're interested to also understand what is driving the populations of these deep water snappers, because so much is unknown about where these snappers reside, where they reproduce, what they eat. So this information that we're collecting on this expedition greatly helps management, and also, as Ricardo mentioned, greatly helps the fishermen. Ah, yeah, there's right there. Yeah, it's camouflaged really well. This might be the yellowfin flagfin fish.
Sounds good. Maybe try to get lasers on it.
Could we also have some when we pull out lasers, just to size up the
Yeah,
fish?
they're on now.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, this looks like it could be the yellowfin flagfin fish. We saw one earlier on this dive. And these fish are important to note because these are forage fish of some of these large commercially important fish species like the queen snappers and silk snappers and also these groupers. Could we go close to the tail area? Yeah, and just do a zoom.
Come up a little bit.
No, I think that's good. Thank you.
Yep.
Understood.
Oh, fish on the, might be coming in.
Oh, there's a big fish.
Oh, that looks like a queen. Look like a forked tail. Yeah, it's a forked tail. Yeah, that's a queen. And we're out right now at 250 meters.
Okay, I think we can do another 20 meter hop. 20 million meters, please.
Is that line or a crack?
No, it's a crack, but we've
Okay.
been seeing a number of lines in this area.
We're almost at our original waypoint 3, coming up here in the next 20 meters or so. I think with, unless, there's not many more places to go, we'll just continue along through the waypoint if you're following your dive plan on shore.
getting a bit out there.
It's a weird shape. Yeah, maybe a sponge on the profile.
Yeah, looks like a sponge.
I'm kind of surprised that, I know there's probably a space limitation to some degree, but I'm surprised that all the black corals seem to be on the not so ideal flow conditions. And I'm wondering, they are on the flats in some degree, but they're not on the edges. And maybe they prefer these channels.
Maybe it's too much flow?
Yeah, it could be.
And just keep an eye.
Yep. Definitely. Yeah, there's some habitat preferences here in the coral community.
Pilot, this is Watch Lead. We had a request if when we move along, if we could just pan, above just to see if maybe we see some more fish, some more snappers, just as we move along. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Yeah, we had a request if maybe when we were moving along to look up and maybe pan around just to see if there are any fish in the perimeter. Thank you. Yeah, that's good. And just I guess the surrounding area would work. Thank you. And now that I'm thinking about it, we haven't done a round of introductions for the front row if you have the chance, if you want. Okay. Oh, this is the one that we've been seeing. Pretty common.
Yeah, I think last Mithrax.
Mithrax. This is the most that we've seen crabs.
Yeah. Not too many squat lobsters, or at least we haven't looked very close, but it's mostly these larger.
And shrimp.
No shrimp? Or lots
well,
of
we
shrimp?
haven't seen that much shrimp.
Yep. It's a lot of stylastrids here.
They've been seeing a lot.
Oh. I think in terms of diversity and abundance, this might be the best fish sight we've seen,
Yeah.
from my impression at least.
Yeah, we've seen some new species.
Oh, fish lower corner.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
It's like right behind that rock. Oh, yeah, there's a couple. I saw another one.
There were
Another
boarfishes.
boarfish, and there was another fish that went behind those big boulders. The vicious boarfish.
I thought this cave was a little bit deeper, but it actually just looks like it's a
Hey, Nav,
little triangular cavern.
This is your navigator speaking.
can you fill me in on the last move and direction? Also, I'm getting an echo
275.
of myself. How do I stop that? Nav, do you know how to?
Stop listening to things until it goes away. So figure out which channel it's coming from.
Test. That was terrible advice.
Maybe your side tone's really high?
Yeah, how do I change that?
Oh. Okay, you go to program up, which is 6. Actually, wait, hold on. Hold on, let me figure it.
Video, are you able to change the side tone thing from here?
Yes, thank you.
Copy. Okay. Yeah, I guess we can put in another move too if you're ready. So we can continue doing the same thing.
It looks like there's some more fish. Oh, no, that's
What
a
was
whip
that move?
coral, I think.
275.
Speed, I mean. Was it at point 2?
Yeah.
Okay. Dude, I gotta
Bridge is Darby Nav.
Ah, there's another fish right under this rock. Right, yeah, right below the lasers. I don't know if we're going to be able
Yeah,
to.
I'd like a move if you're ready. Range to 0 meters, bearing 275 degrees, speed decimal 2.
Yeah.
It's a good copy.
Looks like that yellow wash
Yeah, the pink and
fish with a yellow wash in its face and upper body. We saw it amongst the stylasterids and madrasis corals a while back, right around when we made the collection for the stony coral.
this one has much more yellow
Test.
compared to the other one that we saw.
Test.
Might be a Pronotogramus.
Check. All right, did you find it, Andy?
No, I wasn't sure what to look for.
Could we get the lasers on, pilot? Just to... Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. So the fisherman just texted me and mentioned that given how fish this area is, that he's really surprised with the little fishing line that we do see at this site.
Off to the left-hand side, pilot, I see a red coral sticking out on just below the lasers now. Can we look at that one? The branching one, not the platy one. Yeah, the thin branches that's right below the lasers. Still trying to figure out what these are. I think we're still going to stick with Thesia parasus, but if we had a lot of time left on bottom, I wish I could find a rock with all the corals on it. Be much more valuable collection. Okay. Thanks for that. Yeah, I think it's the same Thesia parasus we were looking at earlier.
Do a quick comms check with your pilot. Okay.
It's a big cluster of Madrasas.
Yes.
It's actually getting more dense, I think, with the further downslope we get, the fewer large fan-shaped. This white one looks a little bit different here. This white whip that's coming to lasers right now. Can we zoom in on that? It has no coloration, which is kind of
Looks
distinct.
like an octocoral.
Yeah, it's an octocoral. Usually they are slightly tinged to the yellow on the branch tips, or sometimes brown, but this one is pure white. Most likely another ellicillid, but different color morph than what we've seen in the past. Okay, I think that's enough.
Jeff said they did see some line.
Oh, there's a fish.
Oh, look at all the octocorals on top of that.
Looks like a big eye soldier fish. Looks like this small little rock is holding up this big one.
Is that a debris there, or is that black sack? Looks like a bag, maybe, or fabric.
Yeah, it's some type of fabric. It's like cloth.
It's the second time we've seen this on the seafloor. I wonder if it has a role in the fishing.
It's move complete. Thanks, Bridge. 1842.
So that one was at 275.
That's correct.
We might think about shooting a little bit further north on the next one.
Okay, so you think you're getting a little too far away from the speed trip?
Not real far, but you know, a couple more degrees.
Okay.
Maybe 5 more degrees or 10 more degrees.
Do you want another move or right now?
Give it a minute.
All right.
Yeah. What do you think? 5, 10 degrees or further? Either.
We could try 280.
So we're still at
We don't wanna
251
go
meters.
lower.
We're following this
Yeah, exactly.
ridge-like feature
We're at
towards the northwest.
maybe like 280.
Maybe. Okay.
At only 20 meters, it's not very big difference.
Okay. Yeah. All right. We can do that whenever, if pilot agrees.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
Bridge is RV nav. Yeah, ready for move. Range 20 meters, bearing 280 degrees, speed decimal 2. It's a good copy. 1844.
Yeah, we'll see how this looks, but then we might even, add another 15 degrees on top of that.
Yeah, that's good.
So,
Look at
yeah, it's
Wow.
black corals, octocorals, scleractinians, stylastrids. It's a big old heap of a lot of different types of corals on the spenthos here. Right now I'm seeing a few different types of sponges, the yellow, orange, some of these brown, creamy, coralisted sponges.
Yep. Anytime.
So much here. We mentioned a little while ago that we were diving quite shallow today. We're pretty much at the upper boundary of our vehicles in terms of depth, and we are in a type of a transition zone that's expected for mesophotic and deep water species. So one of the things that could be leading to the diversity we find is that we are in that overlapping depth zone where we do see deep water species, but we also see some shallower water species. And, I think...
Yeah, I do notice that these black coral fan structures, we see a lot on mesophotic reefs.
Yeah. Are they...
All these whips also. They're very, very common.
Yeah.
Especially in areas of high current.
So when we say mesophotic, what's the depth range we're looking at? Is it a defined depth range, or does it vary from, based on the clarity of the water?
I think it's based on the clarity of the water. We found actually like scleractinian, like reef building corals all the way down to 79 meters.
79 meters.
So you can find photosynthetic organisms probably down to close to 200 or maybe even deeper depending on the clarity of the water. And we're pretty far offshore.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not too uncommon depending on where you are. The further out to sea you are, or the further away from land rather, you may see photosynthesizing organisms at depths of around 200 meters.
Slack that we wanted to, Nav. So I think that was a good
I've seen these whip corals in Dominica at like 30 feet.
Yeah.
But that's a unique situation.
So there are at least 2 species of Madrasis that are known to this area, both deep water species. Actually, the deepest record for a collection of this stony species was actually 700 meters in the Northeast Caribbean, so that's pretty deep. I mean, I haven't seen them on this until this dive, really. But they've been reported in further east and in the Northeast Caribbean from 300 meters and shallower, mostly. Is there a lower left corner? Is that a piece of wood or debris? Or is that a shadow from a rock? It's looking more like a shadow. Okay. Never mind. There is a fish under there. Another soldier fish. Maybe almost 20 centimeters, maybe. We're trying to paint each of the fish with our lasers. They're set at 10 centimeters apart. And by shining our lasers on a particular surface or on a fish, we can actually get an estimate of the size, because size is often one of the trickier things to estimate when you're underwater. For example, it's not uncommon that when we sample, say, a coral or a sponge, something at depth, we bring it up to the surface, we're surprised it's actually much, much more tiny than we ever imagined. Excellent. Thanks.
Do another move, Andy. Or do you want to wait a minute?
Yeah, let's wait just a little.
Go ahead, Bridge. Understood. Yeah, as long as center rotation is A-frame, you're clear to change your heading. Great, thanks. You can make a heading change, pilots.
Okay. Yeah, after that, then we'll have another move.
Okay.
Like 270 or 275 again.
Great.
Somewhere around there.
So I'm noticing now that where we are on this feature, whereas we were only seeing stony and stylastrid corals on the edges of rocks, we're now seeing them even on the flat parts on top of this, on top of these overhangs.
Can we just snap zoom? There's this like white blotch that I've been seeing. It's right at 9 o'clock. I've been seeing this pretty often. Yeah, it's to the left of, oh, there's a small fish also. To the right. Yeah, let's go for the fish first. So we did see a polylepion with a really dark spot close to the caudal.
Oh, nice.
I think it's right. The fish is at, yeah, it's at 2 o'clock right now. At 1, yeah. I think it's one of those. Yeah, see, this one has also a dark spot.
Much darker than
than the ones that we saw in Mona.
Yep, absolutely.
Zero for zero.
They definitely act like wrasses, going around and just picking
range
at the
20
substrate.
meters, bearing 275 degrees.
We haven't seen any epigonus or small prey fishes. We saw a couple of shrimp, squid when we first touched down, but can totally understand their reason for ignoring us. We're kind of like headlights or ringing the dinner bell.
Thanks.
If there were any fish around us, they would absolutely go for those squids.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
bizarre is that stalk on the right-hand side.
Yeah, this is a sponge. Do you want to zoom on the right-hand side?
Yeah, on our way out, there's a, to the lower right out of frame now, there's a strange curled stalk. Directly downward. Yeah, there we go. What is that? That looks like, it's a type of octocoral. It's very tiny. It almost looks like it's a sponge stalk or something growing on top of an old stalk, but maybe it's a mushroom coral. Like an anthomastus maybe, but I've never seen one that's so white before. It definitely looks like it has a rather hard stalk. Interesting. It's a lot here. Not familiar with.
You kind
Is the yeah?
you
We
can
have
kind of see
sizes.
the like sclerites in the base, I think.
Yeah, sizes on that. Super tiny. Yeah, that's very, very tiny.
You see?
Yeah.
It looks like it. The sclerites.
Do you think that's sampleable, or is that kind of difficult? I've never seen an anthomastus like that. If that stalk does belong to it, which I think it does, it's kind of unique.
You want to stop that move, Nav?
Bridge RV now.
I know anthomastus does have a range of colors.
present position,
White
please.
is one of them, but I've never seen a white anthomastus on a stalk. Yeah.
Watch your box. Okay.
I mean, the business end is really the one on the right. With, you know, the stalk is great, but
I can turn. I'll turn to put you in back in view.
I stopped the ship, Sean. You got starboard inner and port outer, so you could go port inner. Or you could go starboard outer. No, they both should be secure.